Please sit down. Please sit down.
Wasaji fogunya gwasio prasantina je kasange.
Wasaji fogunya gwasio prasantina je kasange.
Kotoko ini kase krobia ile kasange.
Kotoko ini kase krobia ile kasange.
Mema krobia ili fiangu manu kotokunge.
Mema krobia ili fiangu kotokunge.
Asante chantro chmo champon frimge.
Asante chantro chmo champon frimge.
Asante sesebo sumandite.
Asante sesebo sumandite.
Krobia santina je kasange.
Krobia santina je kasange.
Seti chebe modi nywa visio.
Seti chebe modi nywa visio.
Wai ne benya sejuso sipaini ya kwa bakuma sika pobano.
Wai ne benya sejuso sipaini ya kwa bakuma sika pobano.
Binya se bianco baby.
Oh binya se bianco baby.
Amana te di fe badem le fie kasange.
Amana te di fe badem le fie kasange.
Chewane tofu moje nungen.
Chewane tofu moje nungen.
Odo froda diochmo champon fringen.
Odo froda diochmo champon fringen.
O so ni kroyos medite.
O so ni kroyos medite.
Ya kwa jale na dia sia dingen.
Ja kwa jale na dia sia dingen.
Akusi bi ogunbrochmo champon fringen.
Akusi bi ogunbrochmo champon fringen.
Ja kwa free se frampo dem li favisi.
Ja kwa free se frampo dem li favisi.
Se tu tue mi modi nwa visio.
Se tu tue mi modi nwa visio.
Wai ne benya se kantin chire bo ache dan kwa ne se wan pim sika pobano.
Wai ne benya se kantin chire bo ache dan kwa ne se wan pim sika pobano.
Binya se bianco baby.
Oh binya se bianco baby.
Dagba bakana ne frampo dem li favisi.
Dagba bakana ne frampo dem li favisi.
Me ma da be do da ko yadungen.
Me ma da be do da ko yadungen.
Ya dom na ne adia ko bo jo ta touchmo jampon fringen.
Ya dom ne da ko ta touchmo jampon fringen.
O to sika sama na jija kungen.
O to sika sama na jija kungen.
Ja ko bo ba ko nyum flower.
Ja ko bo ba ko nyum flower.
Hina fro frampo dem li fa o.
Hina fro frampo dem li fa o.
Se tu to mi mo di nya visio.
Se tu to mi mo di nya visio.
Wa sa ji fogu nya gwasingen.
O sa ji fogu nya gwasingen.
O present na je kasangen.
O present na je kasangen.
Wo bru ele to braba dem le fa gunya gwasi adunya chemebra.
The Honorable Prime Minister of Grenada, my son, I'm yet to visit you, but I will come. The Chancellor and my course mates, 208 graduates, I still remember you. And when I saw you, I said, okay, well, we'll graduate together, thanks to the Vice Chancellor. My dear friend, how are you? I realize that you are in good hands. You're being looked after, and thank you very much for covering very, very well. The distinguished ministers of state here present, the members of the diplomatic corps here present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with unqualified pleasure and a deep sense of historical purpose that I join you today in beautiful Barbados at this renowned institution, the University of West Indies, Kevo campus, my university anyway. To return to the Caribbean, a place so dear to my heart and so inextricably linked to the ties of history to my Asante Kingdom and the African continent, is an inspiring moment that stirs the soul. I bring you warm greetings from the government and people of Ghana, including your kith and kin in the multi-ethnic Asante Kingdom. I still cherish the memory of receiving an honorary doctorate, a Doctor of Laws LLD degree from this esteemed university some 17 years ago, an honor that deepened the bond between the Golden Stool and the Caribbean people. We have gathered here today for a momentous occasion, the Guba Awards 2025. Being held under the inspiring and pregnant theme, Reclaiming Our Atlantic Destiny, Connect, Build, and Renew. This theme is not merely a powerful set of words or slogan, it is a mission, a solemn call to action that resonates deeply with the spirits of our ancestors and the aspirations of our present and future generations. The theme is also an eloquent reflection of the Pan-African vision championed by leaders like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, which proudly carries the torch of uniting Africa with its diaspora. scattered around the world. Inescapable recognition that the destinies of Africa and the Caribbean are intertwined, sharing an unbreakable link in our DNA. Going down the memory lane, we can readily recall that 400 years ago, history was rewritten through the brutal lens of the transatlantic slave trade, dispersing our people across this vast ocean. For too long, the Atlantic Ocean has been viewed primarily as the root of a painful past, a symbol of separation and sorrow, division and displacement. While we must never forget to overlook the pre- and post-emancipation physical, psychological, and social effects of colonialism, we must today look at the same ocean which carried away our kinsmen and kinswomen as a bridge and conduit that connects us, the shared waterway of a global African family. Our shared history is a testament to the indomitable African spirit, an enduring legacy that if you kill 1,000, 1,000 will storm back. Our shared heritage binds us in an enduring spirit of resilience and an unyielding quest for dignity and self-determination. Today, we convene at a pivotal moment to begin the process of reconnecting the threads of our shared history. It is time for us to consciously and strategically reclaim our shared destiny, mounting beyond mere sentimentality to pragmatic and tangible cooperation. In our bid to reclaim our Atlantic destiny, the theme gives us three categorical imperatives. We must connect, build, and renew. The first important step of our mission is to connect, to break the divide between Africa and the African diaspora. This means fostering stronger ties, not just at the governmental level, but through academic exchange, cultural immersion, and people-to-people interactions. We must break the silence that has surrounded our shared history and actively strive to build the unbreakable bridge that has been missing for centuries. Acknowledging and confronting our painful past will enable us to overcome the trauma caused by enslavement, colonialism, and its attendant racism. We all recognize that getting to the mother continent from the Caribbean and vice versa can be complicated, with travelers often forced to fly into Europe, while a direct flight can take a shorter time and will be more convenient. No wonder our gracious host, the Honorable Mia Motley, who has rightly and proudly described herself as a daughter of Africa, has called for the construction of air and sea bridges between Africa and the Caribbean. Where there's a will, there's a way. God helps those who help themselves. The import of these two common sayings is that with determination and perseverance, we can overcome what may seem insurmountable challenges. An initiative like the direct flight from Africa and the Caribbean, which is long overdue, can turn geographic proximity into genuine connectivity and promote cultural tourism. And that is why the direct flight from Accra to Bridgetown, organized in connection with Global Awards 2025, deserves our commendation and emulation. We can also focus on education by utilizing our educational institutions to build bridges and educate people about Africa within the Caribbean communities and vice versa. And I think this afternoon I've been introduced to two of them here, bridging the gap there. It is also possible to promote cultural collaboration by facilitating partnerships between cultural figures such as musicians and writers. It should be possible for us to encourage diaspora-led initiatives through supporting community-based knowledge sharing led by the diaspora in areas like health, agriculture, and finance. I commend this university for contributing to driving this process, for recognizing what we must reconnect in Africa, with Africa, the mother continent, not just in intellectual engagement, but as nations and people.
Young.
If you all favor reconnecting Africa and the Caribbean, then we should have the courage to admit that the construction of the bridge constitutes an unfinished bridge,
Young.
which we must hurriedly complete to enable us to translate the partnership into reality for the mutual benefit of our people.
Young.
Let me confess that I keep returning to the Caribbean islands, albeit always in response to invitations extended to me, simply because I see myself as someone on a larger mission, the noble mission of contributing my quota towards fostering, broadening, and cementing the growing relations between Africa and the Caribbean and between Africa and its diaspora.
Young.
This mission, as we all recognize, is not going to be an event. It may be a long and tortuous process, so let us rekindle the spirit of our forefathers who, in the face of oppression, humiliation, and indignities unparalleled in history, showed resilience, determination, and perseverance to survive and thrive.
Young.
Viewed from a historical perspective, the underlying current of the theme is not new. We can recall that in reference to the experiences of the slave trade, oppression, and racial discrimination, some famous individuals of African descent, such as Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr., all advocated that Africans, and in extension all people of African descent, need to reconnect and, if possible, join a giant sovereign union of a single socio-political, economic, and cultural identity.
Young.
They emphasized that the need for African descendants to work together to transform the paradigm of centuries of discrimination and leverage a continental political union in international relations.
Young.
As if to follow up on this grand vision of African unity, in 2006, the Constitutive Act of the AU was amended to include the African diaspora as the sixth region of the continent, the others being Central, Eastern, Northern, Southern, and Western regions of Africa.
Young.
The Act defines the African diaspora to include the people of African region living outside the continent, irrespective of their citizenship and nationality, and who are willing to contribute to the development of the continent and the building of the African Union.
Young.
The article manifests an official recognition of the role of African diaspora irrespective of historical migration as either forced or voluntary, pre-slave trade, slave trade, post-slave trade, and modern migration in advancing the Pan-African philosophy through the development or rebuilding of Africa and African heritage.
Young.
Already, some Afro-pessimists and cynics have described the AU's sixth region as a coded language for what they call Africans who have migrated and are living outside Africa. We should not allow ourselves to continue to be divided. For me, this is not a mere symbolic designation. It is a living and breathing opportunity for political, economic, and cultural revival.
Young.
We should leverage the AU designation and initiative to connect Africa and its diaspora, irrespective of where they are, when and how they got to their present location.
Young.
By our calculation, this will amount to about 350 million people of African descent, which translates into the third biggest population in the world if all the African diaspora could be considered as living in one country.
Young.
People of African descent, both within and outside the mother continent, do not only share a common history or heritage, but more complexly share a common destiny that transcends historical prejudices and clothes in the dark history of slavery, colonization, and continuous racial discrimination. We should therefore embrace and promote African Liberation Day, May 25th, in the Caribbean, while Africa celebrates Emancipation Day, 1st August, in Africa.
Young.
Let your Africanness or African region not be a source of shame, but a badge of pride and honor, which you should always wear and display.
Young.
In my view, God gives us our brothers and sisters. We choose our own friends. This means you and I have no control over who become our relatives. That is God-given, but we have the latitude to decide who becomes our friends and associates in life.
Young.
So you and I are still torn together. We can't go anywhere. So we have to make sure that we build together. Because you are my brothers and sisters. Whether you like it or not, that's how it is. It should have long dawned on us that we need effective, pragmatic, and robust cooperation and collaboration to promote sustainable development in our communities, countries, and regions. Explaining the political, social, and economic benefits of closer cooperation are so evident that it always sounds like preaching to the converted. But given the circumstances in which we find ourselves, we are often compelled to do so. I end with a timeless idea encapsulated in the old Latin proverb, dum spiro, spero. While I breathe, I hope. And there is hope in our dreams, our imaginations, and our aspirations. Let us have the mental fortitude to stand by the courage of our conviction and translate our noble ideas into reality. Only by so doing can we survive and thrive as a people. The second component of our imperative trinity is that we should build with a renewed sense of purpose. We must focus on building a future of shared opportunity and prosperity. If connecting is the foundation, building is the action. Guided by the wisdom and lessons of history, it is evident that the development of Africa will eventually uplift the image and prospects of the African diaspora and vice versa. In this regard, we can readily recall with nostalgia how the liberation of Africa in the 1960s impacted the civil rights movement of the United States of America. And I dare say, the acceleration of the decolonization process in the Caribbean. We must leverage our collective resources, intellect, and expertise to address the common challenges confronting our societies and regions. In my work back home in the Asante Kingdom, I have consistently emphasized the need for modernization to work hand in hand with tradition to promote education, health, and economic development. The Caribbean, with its relatively high literacy rates, possesses a massive pool of intellect and expertise, and Africa is a continent of immense and flourishing economies. We have a tremendous opportunity to translate our shared cultural identity into tangible economic power. To build now means we can be the actors of our own destiny, and we should have the mental discipline to chart our own course and determine our own future together. The time has come for us to rekindle our efforts to build strong institutions that support our people and resist forces that seek to exploit our resources. We should create new trade corridors that should focus on establishing robust, direct trade links between Africa and the Caribbean by bypassing the traditional trade routes that primarily benefit former colonial powers. Because at this day and age, we still trade with our former colonial powers without trading with Africa and our diaspora. I just want to know how much we sell to Barbados and how much Barbados sells to us. But I have things that Barbados was. But Barbados also has things that Ghana wants. So why can't we do that? We should strive to foster investment and innovation by organizing high-level conferences like this one, the Guba Trade and Investment Conference, bringing together investors, entrepreneurs, and policymakers to explore, identify, and build tangible economic opportunities and jobs. The Trade and Investment Conference held as part of the Guba Awards 2025 attests to our commitment to build resilient health systems, invest in agricultural value chains, develop other creative industries, and create infrastructure transport links between our nations. It is through such concrete collaboration that we will create jobs, drive innovation, and ensure shared prosperity for our generation and generations yet to come. Such initiatives would also boost South-South cooperation, which is mere on paper because we don't do it. Because when the South-South cooperation came, we thought we were going to trade with ourselves, but we still go to our colonial masters. So also boost South-South cooperation, which aims at forging better and stronger cooperation among developing countries, an alternative to dependence and over-reliance on former colonial powers. The goal is to build a new destiny determined by, and for the people of the Atlantic diaspora. But to succeed in doing this, we need to free ourselves from mental slavery, an attitude and mindset, yes. An attitude and mindset that we have imposed on ourselves. Mental slavery may be opaque and latent, but it is potent and all-encompassing, always hiding in plain sight in our communities, countries, and regions. It is mental slavery that has conditioned us to accept thoughts from the North as always better and superior, whilst always denigrating our own as inferior. Another plank in the platform for building African-Caribbean relations is the all-important issue of Pan-African unity. This is grounded in Pan-Africanism, echoing the vision of leaders like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and others for a united and self-determining Africa and its diaspora. Let us use proactive diplomacy to build stronger political, economic, and cultural ties between Africa and the Caribbean. The Africa CARICOM Summit, a quadrennial bicontinental diplomatic conference, two of which have been held so far in 2021 and 2025. I would suggest you do it either yearly or 2 years, instead of 4 years, because when you, Mr. Prime Minister, when you discuss 4 years, you would have finished. And whatever decisions you took, you would have even lost some of the prime ministers and presidents who were part of that discussion. So that to have held between the leading policies of countries and African member states of CARICOM should and must be used to coordinate our position and present a common front on the international stage in global forums like the UN, the Commonwealth, the Bretton Woods institutions, and the G20. We should use our combined strength and speak with one voice on issues like the reform of Bretton Woods institutions to enable them better serve the needs and interests of small and developing countries. But you know, if we manage our economies well, the diaspora here, we can collaborate with Africa. Africa has all the resources that we don't have to go to the Bretton Woods for the money. We don't have to. If we manage it properly, we can look after ourselves. We have all the resources, we have everything there. And so the students, people who've gone to school, engineers and also are there. So we can plug them from Grenada, from Barbados and everything, give them, charge them with, so the mining engineers, go and dig the mine. The doctors, run the hospitals. Let us run it for profit. And then we can do it. But we go to Australia, they take my concession, and they go to put it on the stock exchange and take the money and bring back and buy the machines and bring back, telling me it's an investment. But we give them the concessions. Because I'm not in charge of the concessions, the government that is in charge of the concessions. And they take only 10%. I asked the Prime Minister of Norway how they organize their oil, and he said, tell your president to take 70% as a start. I told the then president, who was there, I wouldn't mention the name, that look, that is what the Norwegian president has told me. He said, Majesty, you know, we don't have money, so we have to go in small, so let's agree to what they want to give us first. And we've lost it till now, we don't have the money. In the same vein, we should work together on the complex issue of reparations, seeking fair access, development, and compensation for historical injustices, some amounting to crimes against humanity. The transatlantic slave trade was the largest long-distance forced movement of people recorded in history. If truth be told, it was a crime against humanity. We may have forgiven the perpetrators of such heinous crime, but we should compel them through strong international advocacy to atone for their sins. I was not confronted, but I met a Sudanese in Holland, and she wanted to ask questions. I said, let her ask. She said, Majesty, why did you sell it to the people there? Why did you abandon us? I said, my dear, let me be very honest with you. As I speak to you now, We are all now educated and civilized and all those things, but we are still being manipulated by the West. So 400 years ago, if at this stage I'm still being manipulated, my economy and everything is in their hands, what would you have thought about 400 years ago? Where my granduncles were, what? They didn't know anything about anything. So they went there, forcibly bringing Kofi here, Kofi asserting his authority to get back. So I said to she came back, knelt before me and shook my hands and said, Majesty, I thank you. I thank you very much for being very frank and open with me. I said, so it wasn't our fault. They are still controlling your economy wherever, my economy wherever. So we are not in charge of it again. So America, Britain, everywhere it's happening. We still will be manipulated. They will still come to us to take our resources and take it back there. That is why we have to sit up and then see how best we can manage our own affairs. Finance is the oxygen of development. So as we seek to promote and strengthen better and stronger trade and investment relations, we should look for creative ways to generate the requisite financial resources to buttress our efforts. And that's what I'm saying. It should be pointed out that despite the shared history, current trade between the two regions remains minimal. The share of bilateral exports between Africa and the Caribbean, despite an extensive shared history, has never surpassed 6%, according to the Afreximbank study, leaving much room for growth. Key to this growth is adding value in priority sectors and creative industries. Trade between the regions currently relies heavily on unprocessed commodities, which reflect missed opportunities to industrial collaboration, innovation, and diversification. Access to trade and investment finance is vital for tapping into the major untapped growth potential in trade in value-added goods. Afreximbank has established strong and rapidly evolving relations with CARICOM to boost trade, investment, and financial cooperation between the two regions, operating under the Global Africa vision. As of mid-2025, I'm told the bank has provided more than $2.5 billion in funding across CARICOM, targeting infrastructure, climate adaptation, and SME financing. We are confident that Afreximbank's presence in the region through its Barbados office, established in 2023, is set to significantly boost trade between the two regions. There are promising prospects on the horizon. Africa is now moving into full accelerated implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, arguably the best decision made by African heads of government in 6 decades. This treaty has the power not only to revolutionize African trade and development, but also to equip African countries with stronger negotiating power in multilateral areas, thereby boosting their collective ability to change the terms of global trade. Closer African-Caribbean trade relations could prove to be mutually beneficial. The third and imperative component of our mission is to renew. To renew is to reshape our future, informed by the lessons of the past. We must renew our shared purpose and identity. The challenges of racial inequality, discrimination, and the lingering efforts of our history require a renewed sense of pride and collective action. It is about revitalizing our people in our African heritage, embracing the indomitable spirit that allowed our ancestors not just to survive, but to thrive against all odds. We must use our cultural heritage as a foundation for a stronger future, ensuring that traditional wisdom is integrated into modern governance and national development. The goal must be to forge unity amid our cultural diversities, recognizing the harmony in our shared experience. This renewed spirit will empower us to stand tall and face the future with confidence and integrity. The challenges we face today, from economic development to climate change, require a united front. As an African proverb wisely states, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Our destiny across the Atlantic is not a foregone conclusion. It is about what we choose to make of it. Let us work together to ensure the Atlantic no longer symbolizes a barrier, but rather a vibrant living connection, an unbreakable bridge between our people. By choosing to connect, build, and renew, we can create a powerful global Africa that takes its rightful place on the world stage. Let us see this glorious opportunity to work together, to support each other, and to ensure a prosperous future for all our people. The time for action is now. I will end with mind-bending quotes from two Greek philosophers. The first, from Heraclitus, says, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and it's not the same man." This is the philosophy of constant flux. Once one steps into the river, the water touches, swirls away. As for the man, his awareness, thoughts, and feelings change carefully. Time can't be stopped or returned to. The world is constantly moving, constantly changing. Africa and its diaspora have to move with the times. The second, from Epictetus, says, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." It means as individuals, or in this context, as countries and regions, we are required to intentionally choose goals and values. In short, we should not just drift through life. If we choose a goal or have a vision, then we should follow that vision. In short, we need to pursue vigorously and expeditiously our union of global Africa with one voice on the world stage. May God bless our determined efforts to connect, build, and renew. Thank you very much.
Our deepest thanks to you, Your Majesty, for the wisdom and insights of your message. We are all truly honored. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon's program continues with a brief ceremony for the unveiling of a portrait of the Asantehene, as we heard earlier. This will be hosted on the ground floor of the Hilary MacDonald Beckles Administration Complex. And in deference to all of the protocols that have been effected for our royal guests today, we will quickly transition the royal delegation and just a small company of university and other officials to the second location. So we thank you for your understanding in this regard. For your continued comfort this afternoon, and so that you miss none of the proceedings, our live streaming of the event will continue, and we invite our in-room guests to remain here with us at the Sagicor Cave Hill School of Business and Management as we share together in the broadcast of the unveiling ceremony from the Hilary MacDonald Beckles Administration Complex on the main campus. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to stand for the recession of His Majesty and the royal delegation, accompanied by the university's executive delegation and the official party. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated, and please stay tuned to our UETV platforms for continuing live coverage from the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus in Barbados. And I now turn the broadcast over to our online anchor, Dr. Kenneth Connell, the campus's public orator. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
and importantly Prime Minister of Grenada, and importantly Prime Minister of Grenada, and importantly Prime Minister of Grenada. And Ghana, but also actualizing this, but also tangible outcomes. But also program will be the unveiling ceremony, which will be chaired by Dr. Henderson Carter, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education. We'll have some brief remarks again by the Vice Cave Hill School of Business, and which is just across the street from the main campus. And the rest of the evening's proceedings will continue in the Hilary MacDonald building, Hilary MacDonald Beckles building, pardon me, here on campus. The atmosphere is pretty much the same as this morning. Some light breeze this afternoon, which is comforting given the heat of the day. And you're probably seeing on your screen right now a live shot of the Hilary MacDonald Beckles building, which is in the shape of an Ashanti stool. The reception are awaiting the arrival of His Majesty. I see here the Executive Director of UETV, which is featuring this stream. Of course, we await the red carpet welcome. So it looks as if we are now seeing the arrival of the dignitaries, including His Majesty, on main campus at the Hilary MacDonald's building. Sir Hilary has just exited the coach, and I recognize also the Honorable Chad Blackman, Minister of Educational Transformation, of course the Principal, Professor Clive Landis, and Her Excellency Juliet Bino Sutherland. Welcome home to her, and of course His Excellency David Comishong as well, as they all head towards the entrance of the building. The Hilary MacDonald Beckles building is quite a sight on campus, but probably more intriguing is the artwork inside the building. If you ever have the opportunity to visit the Cave Hill campus, one of the main sites of interest is really this building, where an entire collection and diversity of African art awaits you. It is somewhat almost like a living museum, and you see some of the pieces at the entrance, but there is more art on the inside as well. And of course, the entire building, if we were to get a building shot, an aerial view shot, I should say, you would see the shape in the Ashanti stool design. I believe now that most of the dignitaries have already arrived, except, of course, His Majesty. And at his arrival, the remainder of the proceedings will then continue inside the building. Those of you joining us in Ghana, I hope that you are continuing this evening's broadcast, and also those of you who missed it, I hope that you are able to take in the replay of the event on UETV or Facebook feed, as well as the UETV channels throughout the region, and on, of course, the UETV app. And this looks like the arrival now of one of the dignitaries. I'm not sure if this is His Majesty or the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, but we shall see shortly. Sir Hilary Beckles, the Vice Chancellor, and the Principal, Professor Clive Landis, exit to meet the remaining dignitaries as they arrive. And this looks like the arrival now of the entourage, with an alighting from his vehicle. Yes, we were correct, is His Majesty. And he's officially met for the second time by the senior administrators and management of the university, including the Vice Chancellor, Sir Hilary Beckles. And I am assuming that the Chancellor, the Most Honorable Doddridge Miller, is already in place at the ceremony. I'll let you take in the live feed now as we move towards the unveiling of the plaque. This concludes the commentary for today's events. I hope you enjoyed it, and also the remainder of the afternoon's proceedings as we close this historic Reclaiming Our Atlantic Destiny, Connect, Build and Renew visit from His Majesty Atumfu Ose Tutu II, Asantehene of the Ashanti Kingdom.
Good evening. His Majesty Utumfo Ositutu Asantehene, Kingdom of the Ashanti, Prime Minister of Grenada, the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, Dr. the Most Honorable Dowridge Middock, Chancellor of the University of West Indies, the Honorable Jerome Walcott, Minister of Health and Wellness and Senior Minister, the Honorable Sandra Husbands, Minister of Training and Tertiary Education, the Honorable Chad Blackman, Minister of Educational Transformation, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, and Lady Beckles, Dr. Trissa Tannis, Chair of Campus Council, KPhil, and Reverend Dr. Tannis, Professor R. Clive Landis, Principal and Pro-Vice Chancellor, University of West Indies, KPhil Campus, Chiefs of the Ashanti Kingdom, members of the Executive and Senior Management of the University of West Indies, Her Excellency Juliet Sutherland Bino, Sutherland, High Commissioner of Barbados to Guyana, His Excellency David Commichon, Ambassador of Barbados to the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, members of the Royal Delegation, members of the Cuba Delegation, members of the university community, deans and heads of departments, faculty and students, specially invited guests, members of the media, guests viewing online via UWI-TV, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good evening to all. I am Henderson Carter, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education here at KPhil. Welcome to this special unveiling ceremony in a building that carries the architectural motif of an Asante stool, to honor King Cuffy's men who endeavored to create an African kingdom here in June 1675. Today, we remember these men who were dragged through the streets of Spicetown, some like Tony, burnt alive with his last words, "If you roast me today, you cannot roast me tomorrow." Today we also remember the victims of a slave ship called the King George, which ran aground off the east coast of Barbados in 1791, killing 281 enslaved Africans bound in their chains. We also remember on this spot, this very spot, the perseverance of Qua William Jemmott, who came here to this mount plantation in 1797 and became the first black sexton in the Anglican Church of St. Stephen's, just a few minutes down the road. Qua inspires us to reach for the stars, despite his challenges, despite his enslavement. And today, this ceremony, under the theme, Reclaiming Our Atlantic Destiny, Connect, Build, Renew, focuses our attention on rebuilding that Atlantic bridge with Africa. That bridge that was broken during colonialism, but a bridge that we now restore as a highway to progress and development. Today it gives me great pleasure to invite Vice Chancellor Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, historian of the 1675 conflict, to give his opening remarks. Sir Hilary?
Your Majesty, this campus, in developing its futuristic identity, thought it necessary to celebrate our ancestral roots so that every student, every worker, every visitor to this campus would be reminded of who we are. Someone had an idea of celebrating our Ghanaian roots with a structure built in honor of our ancestors. And the idea of the motif of the school, of the stool. We were honored, Your Majesty, when you came here and laid the cornerstone. We were honored when you gave us the gift of the baobab tree, which is in splendid growth on the periphery of this building. We believe then that when the leaders of this university, this campus, our principal who is now here, when they walk through this door, they would feel the spirit of our ancestors. And we have located it on this site. There were many locations we could have chosen, but we chose this location because when you are in the city, the capital city, Bridgetown, when you look up from Bridgetown, what you will see on the hill is the stool. And it was chosen for that reason, so that the majority of our people at all times will always be looking for inspiration from the stool. And this is why we are here. One of our great Caribbean artists, Asantehene, are you here? Please come and stand next to me. Please come. I went and visited this brilliant, distinguished artist, and I said to him, we need a painting that will be permanently located here, that will speak of the descent of the stool from heaven. The stool on which, Otamfe, you and your successors forever will sit and have the wisdom and the judgment for which you are known. And Asantehene thought about it, and I said to him, I can't afford to pay you. So whatever you do here is your own spiritual contribution to the struggle. And he depicted for us the descent of the stool from heaven coming to us to give us that spiritual center of gravity, so that when our Asantehenes, through time, and if my history proves to be correct, the stool was sent down to Osei the First. And here we are, 400 years later. 400 years later, and Osei the Second is here. "400 years, 400 years." And I'm going to invite our great nation regional artist to describe for us briefly his creation and his vision. Please.
Greetings to all, His Majesty, to his delegation, and to all my Bajan and Caribbean family. When I was commissioned by Hillary to conceptualize this historic moment, I didn't want to follow a literary narrative. So I just wanted to conjure a moment of mystery, an enigmatic moment wherein the actual evidence and presence of the stool is not in the painting, because it is really a moment of anticipation of its arrival. And I thought that it would be good for the painting to retain its mystery and the mystery of that moment. So they're still here looking upward in anticipation, which is looking to the highest aspects of self, really. Basically, that's the conceptual cocoon in which I did this work. And it is a distinct pleasure to be able to share it with you all. I just ask that you engage it, and because it's a visual art, so it shouldn't require a lot of deconstruction verbally, right? Because the eye has no tongue. So it's for you to engage and experience and feel, you know. Yes. Thank you.
I wish to thank our artist for the inspiration captured at that moment. He is one of the greatest artists of this region, and he has opened up our imaginations to sit here and look up to the heavens and wonder at that moment, the moment in anticipation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Hilary. Thank you, Rasakim. You've not only given us an administration building, but a very important heritage asset, so that visitors to this campus could come here in the foyer, see the drums, see the paintings, and of course, view the painting that we will now unveil. And I want to thank, before we get to the unveiling, all of you for coming and for making this such a wonderful ceremony. And permit me to thank His Majesty Otumfo Ositutu for gracing us with your presence yet again. And we're happy that you could come back. And we wish you a pleasant stay in Barbados. Your presence, the portrait, our administration building, the baobab tree, the Quar Monument, we can't forget that, always remind us of our African past and our struggles against slavery and colonialism. So, ladies and gentlemen, heartfelt thanks for coming out this evening. I just want to say a few words about the painting that is about to be revealed, the portrait rather. A portrait by Eric Afani, a Ghanaian artist. And he is represented today by Salon Hilary Fiaggio. Salon, where is he? Yes, here he is. The portrait is entitled Custodian of Heritage. It's a compelling collage artwork that honors Otumfo, the king of Asante people of Ghana, celebrating his legacy and leadership as the custodian of tradition. This intricate piece, crafted from repurposed leather, beads, and metal scraps, captures the essence of his authority, cultural significance, and enduring influence on the Ashanti people. I now invite His Majesty and Vice Chancellor Sir Hilary to unveil the portrait of His Majesty, which the university is pleased to reveal and which is being unveiled in honor of His Majesty. Sir Hilary, His Majesty.
I'm working with her.
To invite my fancy, the tour the day battery, and the plaque on the outside. Yeah.
Yes, 2008. Yes. On behalf of Otumfo, I have the honor to present to you a stool. Otumfo was invited when we were here in 2008 to observe that the motif of the president was a stool to show the permanence of the institution and the fact of the heritage of Ashanti that he wanted to perpetuate. And that is why he readily gave me the consent to use the motif. And today, with the building completed and it being formally commissioned, it is proper that he comes to you with an actual stool which has his crest with the chair embossed on it. So this will be a permanent memento of Tumfo's connection to Cape Verde campus as far as his commitment is concerned. And there's, as you may know, you are a historian, a big one of that, the stool is a symbol of authority of the king. And the biggest stool in Ashanti is the golden stool, the name of which is Esikaja Kofi. So you see Kofi coming back, Kofi, yes. Anything that is Kofi means it's indomitable and it's indestructible. And you may want to burn the objects, but you may not burn the spirit. You can never burn the spirit. So, with the Otumfo presenting the stool, he's telling you that the spirit of the stool will permeate the teaching that you do here, and it will infuse into your students the symbol, the feeling of cultural identity, which was so much highlighted during his lecture this afternoon. And having said that, I now have the formal pleasure of presenting you the stool on behalf of the artists who work in the expectation. I haven't seen it. How is it to come and receive it? The artists.
That's that colleague here.
If you want to come. Yeah, you did an abstract construction, but I'm giving you a physical construction. You see, you have to, I'm translating from the abstract to the real. So this is a stool. Yes. On precision, you see the scalp nature and then the concave nature to allow for the sitting, the support, and then the base. And it's supported on 4 legs to give it strength and stability. This is the chenche. It's the emblem of the king. That is coat of arms. Yeah. First of all, I wish to thank His Majesty for giving this campus the permission. And I want to emphasize, colleagues, that we had to seek permission from His Royal Highness for the right to use the concept of the stool as the architectural motif, and we were delighted when we received the correspondence from the palace that we could proceed. And I wish to thank Your Majesty for this also. I will see this and receive this as energy for this university to continue to do the work that it must do. This university was built as a tool of the upliftment of the African people and the people of Asia who were also colonized. And when it was built in 1948, the narrative was, we have a duty to liberate the colonized people of this region. And this journey, this tool, this journey is a part of that continuation. And we feel even more inspired, Your Majesty, by the energy you have given us here on the 77th year of this university. And as we approach the centenary of this university, we will keep at the center of that centenary celebration the energy you have given us to continue on our journey. Thank you so very much.
I now invite our principal, Professor R. Clive Landis, to make a presentation as well.
Your Majesty, we didn't want you to leave without a gift from the campus. So we chose our MC with great care. Henderson Carter is the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education. And he is the author of this book from our Department of History. And the book is called Today in Bajan History. Today in Bajan History is, I would say, the first time that the real history of Barbados has been told on a daily basis. It is played on the radio every single day. It has been for the last 2,000 days. And it is the history of Barbados which has not previously been written. So it is in an almanac. You have one entry to read every day of the year, from January the 1st all the way to December the 31st. You can check what's on today's entry for November the 12th, and it jumps through history, and I hope you enjoy this humble gift from the University of the West Indies, and I would ask that you receive this in the presence of the Vice-Chancellor and Henderson Carter, the author.
And that concludes our ceremony in the foyer. We will now go outside to the baobab tree and to the plaque. Thank you. Yes, 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 yes.